Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Okay, we got a few things on our agenda, so we appreciate you being with us. I'd like for the record just to recognize that we do have Councilmember Burrell, Councilmember Paul, Councilmember Saxton with us tonight, and Councilmember Tafoya and Councilmember Yeoman are not with us, not available. We've asked Councilmember Burrell if she would go ahead and lead us in a moment of silence as well as the Pledge of Allegiance. Jan?
If you'll please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And now in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have any consent items tonight, but we do have a presentation, Employee of the Month for the month of August. Carl, I think you're leading in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. If I could have Officer Stephen Nicholas. I'm going to read the citation for him. On June 20th of 2019, at around 4:22 in the afternoon, Officer Nicholas was dispatched to a traffic accident involving a pedestrian and UTA bus. There were numerous people surrounding the pedestrian, several people speaking at once, and blood everywhere. Officer Nicholas noticed the pedestrian had a severe injury to his right arm. Officer Nicholas stayed calm and quickly pulled out his tourniquet and applied it to the pedestrian. Officer Nicholas promptly applied the tourniquet in under 30 seconds. Medical arrived shortly after and took over care of the pedestrian. Officer Nicholas then switched to investigative mode and began interviewing, photographing, measuring, and diagramming the scene. Although it turned out the pedestrian was intoxicated and there was no fault to the bus driver, Officer Nicholas's investigation was very thorough and was able to prove that. Follow-up with medical staff at the hospital was conducted. The pedestrian lost his right arm and a finger on his left hand due to his injuries. The medical staff credited Officer Nicholas' use of his tourniquet in helping save the pedestrian's life. A few years ago, after I got here, we had a number of automobile homicides in the city, and we didn't have anybody trained to investigate those. We had to rely on outside agencies, mainly Highway Patrol, to do that. So we took our traffic officers, and instead of just having them write tickets, we got them trained up in accident investigation. Steve was one of the first ones to step up and take that over and has done a great job. He still gets tickets done, but also investigates these and is able to do quality investigations. And in this case, he also used his other skills and saved a man's life. And for that, we want to recognize him, and we nominate him for Employee of the Month for the city. Excellent. I want to say thanks.
Council comments?
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate your service to the city. That's awesome.
Thank you. Well done. Officer Nicholas, would you mind if we had you just come up and so we can shake your hand? Obviously, an incredible effort. Thank you. Well deserved. Any comments, council?
Appreciate his service.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Okay, we have some action items we'd like to work through. particularly Resolution 19-18. Jeff, I think you're talking this one?
Yes, Mayor Council, thanks. Tonight, we're looking for approval of Resolution 19-18. This is for approving the interlocal fire automatic aid agreement between Roy City, Ogden City Corporation, South Ogden City, Riverdale City, Northview, Weaver Fire District for fire protection services. Our old automatic aid agreement had expired, so this is just renewing that agreement.
Council, comments? Questions? Okay, do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 19-18, approving the interlocal fire aid agreement between the cities so mentioned?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Burrell,
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, I believe, Jeff, you're also going to talk the second one. Thank you.
I do, yes. Mayor, Council, again, this is looking for adopting of approval of Resolution 19-19. That's adopting the new the new fee schedule for the fire and rescue services. This is kind of new for us. We do have some services that we charge for, but there's a lot that we don't have a fee schedule for. So this just brings us more in line with what other fire districts and other cities are charging for, plan review, inspections, all those things. We get a lot of calls from contractors on what of our fees, and we really don't have any. So this just allows us to put something in writing and approval that we have those, that we're charged for those fees.
Okay. Comments? Council? Questions?
Is it about what we have done, even though we haven't had it in writing?
Yes
Chief?
and no. Yeah, that's been some of the problem, is some things we are charging for and some things we're not, but we've never had anything that says this is what we are charging. This just kind of clarifies that. So if a contractor gets on our website and says, hey, what are you going to charge for us to do a sprinkler plan review? It's there.
It's automatic.
Yeah, it's automatic, yeah. And
Okay.
they know what those fees will be.
Well, I like the standardization of it.
Okay. Any other comments, Council? Okay, then, do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 19-19, adopting the new fee schedule for fire and rescue services?
I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 1919, adopting the new fee schedule.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
Councilmember Burrell,
Aye.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, conversation about Resolution 19-20, naming of a memorial park. Matt?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I present to you Resolution 19-20. This all started out of public comments a couple of months ago, where Glenda Moore stood up and asked that we look at renaming the park behind us. It was kind of known throughout the city as Sid's Pond. We stated that we would have the beautification committee take a look at it. We met and we all felt it would be appropriate to name it Memorial Park so we can encompass different memorials out there in the future if they come. But right now, there's 79 trees planted out there to resemble babies that passed away of SIDS back in the 90s. But there's more opportunities to come that we could look at in the future. So I would just suggest that we take the recommendation of the beautification committee and rename that as, or officially name that as Memorial Park.
Okay. Council comments?
No, it's been a long time coming. I know when I was over Parks and Rec, it was discussed, and it's been discussed while you've been there. I make a motion, we approve the resolution.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Burrell,
Aye.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. Just one comment about that, if you don't mind. Brian, I think you did some homework and research on that. Do you want to share a little bit about what you've learned about that particular park, now that it's called Memorial Park?
Well, there was, I don't know the year. It was 92, 91? 90. There was 79 trees planted back there. And it was in recognition of 79 SIDS deaths that year alone. And it wasn't in Roy, it was a statewide figure, and we adopted that and wanted each child to be represented. And so it became known as Sid's Pond. And then last year, when I found this out, we moved forward, and that is where we have started putting animated teddy bears for Christmas lights on those different trees. So if you were there last year, 4, did we do 4? And I think we've budgeted again for 4 more. So, but as you walk through there, it'll be like, kind of like a teddy bear forest. And this move that we did tonight opens the door for other memorials to be presented there.
Well, thank you with that. You do understand, Brian, in light of the fact if we're going to get to close to 80, at 4 a year, you've got to stay in the city council at least 20 more years. Are you okay with that?
I might have a problem with that last term.
You work on it, okay? Anyway, it's an excellent idea. Glenda, I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. This is surely where, in my opinion, the residents have some real insight on how to make the city better, and I think you've done a great job bringing that to our attention, so thank you. Perfect. Okay, city manager report. Matt, do you want to discuss the assisted living center update?
Yeah, so I put this on the agenda so the citizens would know that we're giving and providing an update to it. Last week, we met with Sunridge Assisted Living Center, and I have to add that they were very pleasant to talk to and very willing to work with us. To kind of go down the list of the things that we talked about, one of the things that they had resolved prior to us being there is the lighting. They shifted some of the lights around, and I went out, Councilmember Burrell and I went out, and we actually spoke to Ms. Crossley today about the light, and she's talked about how much better it is as well. We talked about the air conditioning units. They're going to provide screening around those units. There's one on each side of the building, and they're going to screen those. When we were out there, they turned on all the sprinkling system over by more or less the Braden Standards part. There was a broken head that they fixed, and there was a couple of other sprinklers that were kind of spraying array that they've also adjusted already. And then the big thing would be is the garbage container. The garbage container, they currently has submitted already they worked really hard and submitted a site plan to move that container so it's 20 feet off a property line. It won't be as big as the one it is that's there now as well, but the container within there will fit within that containment. There was some concerns before because of the drainage. It looks like we can get that worked out though. So that was a very, very positive thing. There was some issues along a fence line about the retention of the dirt up against the fence. There's going to be, they stated that they would put 12 inches of concrete right there and be able to retain that area as well. And then furthermore, this wasn't discussed down there, but we have some ambiguity in the code that is being addressed right now in the Planning Commission. This is an ongoing process that we always need to be looking at the code and things that we can better, and they're going through that process right now. So they had a work session, and that was already discussed. It should be coming to council quite shortly, but that's another issue that we're going to be continuously working. I wanted to mention these things publicly and also state that their facility is, I'm proud to have them in Roy because it's a beautiful facility. They, when I walk through there's many residents in there that I actually remember when I was a kid that are there now. So it's a part of our community. And then also with the fence, we're going to continue to look at the fence and see what we need to do there. We talked to them about that as well. And we're still going down that line of exploring the fence down there. So more to come.
Okay.
Also, on August 24th, we need to note that we're having the day of service. It starts at the Aquatic Center at 9:00 a.m. We're going to be focusing on the library, on the 4,000 South detention tanks, the airport road, and there's a little road behind, or basically in front of Village Inn that we're going to be cleaning up. We had somebody reach out to us from Just Serve. They're going to be providing us 200 tickets to the Bees game and some T-shirts that they can hand out there for the first 200 people. I know we usually have around 400 people, but the first 200 people that show up can get a shirt and some tickets. So that will be very fun. I also talked to UTA about the Front Runner Station. As you may have noticed, that there's many trees over there that have died. They stated that there's 3 different facilities that actually work on different parts, is maintenance of way, of more the tracks, and then you have facility maintenance that deals with more the station itself, and then you have another department that does other lands. They actually cut a line in the sprinkling system that stopped the irrigation, and that's the cause of a lot of the trees. So he stated that they were going to be working to take out some of those trees and to fix the watering there. So that was good news. But last but not least, I wanted to thank Roy City staff. We all pulled together this last week and made the event a success. We've never had communication so well between departments, and I really have to give them a hand because they worked hard and they worked many, many, many hours, and these hours continued throughout the weekend. In fact, Chief Marino probably got home maybe at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was calling him the next day at like 8, so he probably had only 2 hours of sleep. But there was more employees than Chief Marino that were doing that and pulling these types of hours. There was people there bright and early Sunday morning cleaning the parks after everything. So have to really hand it out there. But anyway, that's all I have.
Council comments?
I would just echo the hard work of our employees. I was there 6 o'clock Sunday morning, and there was a good crew of cleanup going on even then, and I know they had been working late in the night Saturday night as well.
It was a great event. Saw a lot of people there and saw a lot of employees dedicating their time and efforts to it, so I appreciate that for all the hard work. I do have one question on the day of service. In the past, there's been questions about who's invited to that, who is that open to?
Anybody and everybody. We look at it as a day of service. Obviously, LDS stakes are involved. We'll reach out to all faiths and denominations. Anybody who wants to come and help the community, we'd love to have.
Okay.
How do we get that information out, Trav?
We'll usually, we have a few contacts. We'll reach out to
Okay.
them, and if we need to, we'll head to their facilities and let them know personally.
Okay, thank you.
And if you share something on the Parks and Rec Facebook
Sure.
page, that could be forwarded into other groups.
Sure.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Anything else, council? I have a couple of things if you don't. First thing, let me just echo, Matt, your point about the great service and the great effort that the team put together in Roy Days. We may have had just a small hiccup on the fireworks. It seemed to have got a lot of people's attention in the news media. But I'll tell you what, in my conversation with multiple groups of people, there has not been a finer, activity and events that took place than they did this time. I'm not so sure if the shift was just because they went cowboy, if that was the reason, but a lot of people had a great time, enjoyed the events. I never seen so many cars to be judged. It was just a wonderful, wonderful effort. The food was exceptional. It was just a wonderful event, and it happened in large part because the men and women of the city stepped up and made that work. And so, surely make sure you make it clear that the council is very supportive of the hard work that took place. Even though some of you didn't get home or get out of Roy City until after 2:30 in the morning, The fact of the matter is that we knew that, and the reality is that you made a difference. So thank you for your service, okay? It made a big difference.
I'd add to that, kudos to the volunteers. There's citizen volunteers on different committees that helped out too, that, between staff and the volunteers, it was a great event.
It's perfect. Just a couple other things if I can ask. We sent a note down to Lisa Wilson. She is the Region 1 UDOT Director. There had been some concerns out there in with our residents, specifically about the I-15 Express. As you will know, between us and Layton particularly, they're going through a major renovation. The challenge has been is that the road is not in the best shape. We're getting complaints that if you go close to bridges or you happen to run down certain aisle lanes down there, they got edges. It's causing some challenges within our community where some people are saying it's downright dangerous. Surprisingly, when I reached out to Lisa and mentioned it to her, she agreed. They've got a lot of complaints on the I-15 corridor as they're putting in that express lanes that are going north and south. And I'm assuming from her office, since it's in her jurisdiction, she will work to figure out what they need to do and get the contractor supporting to fix some of that. I-15 is an important, obviously an important road, street that runs through our community. And a lot of people going back and forth, we surely don't want to have the road itself create the accidents. And so they're looking at that, and it's important that if you can, make sure that the community understands that UDOT is aware. And equally important is they promise they're getting the contractor to fix. The other thing I wanted to talk to you briefly about and mention, and Ross, I appreciate you being here, the speed humps on 5700. It's been about 60 days now. We made a commitment to the community that we would make a decision in terms of the successes or the problems we were having, okay, with those particular humps. Ross, to this point, I've never had one complaint. Let me repeat that. In the last 60 days, I've not had one complaint from anybody. In fact, a lot of people says they really enjoy them. So, Matt, I'd like you, if you would, for our next city council meeting, I'd like you to present to the council a proposal to make those permanent, okay? And then remove the temporaries, and then let's go ahead and make them permanent, and then we'll go ahead and see if there's other places that we can put traffic calming devices in the city. We have a list of 7. I think it's 7 more. Those will go out in those communities, and we'll talk to the communities about doing it. And if it looks like that's a promising place to put those kind of humps in, then I think we ought to do that. It surely is working, and the evidence is that the community seems to like them. And I think that's a positive note and a positive step. So if you would you just do your part and then present to the council a proposal to look at seeing if we can't make those humps permanent? I don't think they can exist as they are, Ross, going into the winter months, but if we're going to make them permanent, maybe we can put something here that will exist. If it's not, we make them temporary. We'll pull them just before the snow flies, and then we'll put them back in the spring. But I'll leave it to your judgment. Full concrete? Okay.
By all indications, it does appear that they're working. Initially, we stated that we'd relook at it and have the study done officially and to see what this average speed is. Would you suggest that we still do that? If so, there's
Well, if we made that
obviously more.
commitment and we did, then let's follow with the commitment.
Okay, so
I
we
think
can
that's
order
important.
that, and then I don't believe there's any action by council that's needed. We can just give us the consent or the direction to put those in concrete,
correct.
if that's correct, and then.
Yeah, only because this particular site was so sensitive in the public's eye. I don't think the council really is concerned so much about all the other places. I think we can work those, but just to make sure we do the follow-up. This council made a commitment to the public, we would do certain things. I'd like us to make sure we follow up with those things we committed to.
Okay, perfect.
And then once you give us a green light that it's good to go, then let's finish it, okay?
Okay.
And then the future ones, I'll leave it to your judgment to determine which is the best site, how we want to approach that.
Perfect.
But I will tell you, Ross, your flashing stop signs, very effective. I'm getting a lot of positive comments out there. They're definitely visible. And I think it's helping to provide a safe environment in our community. So well done in terms of making that happen. Okay? Okay, those are the issues that I had. Oh, one last thing about the youth service project, Travis. I have read information from a couple of different sources indicating they were planning that that project was going to take place on the 17th. I wrote it down on my calendar because I wanted to verify. Yep. So would you just reach out to your sources and just basically remind them it is on the 24th and make sure that everybody knows that?
I met with Joel Frederickson last Wednesday.
Okay.
And we had that same conversation.
Oh, perfect.
And he's perfectly clear we're going on the 24th.
Okay. And if you can use, as Councilmember Paul suggested, use some of your sources, media sources, to get the word out, I think that'd be perfect.
Absolutely.
It's such a wonderful program, been going on for how many years now?
At least 20.
Yeah.
This is my 20th one, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful opportunity. These youth not only get engaged and do some great things in the community, but by the same token is that you open up the aquatic center for them to come back and after that and enjoy some time and some food. So just a great program. And so we want to make sure that it's everybody's there on the 24th. And
I'll call Joel again tomorrow and make sure we're crystal
okay, sir.
clear.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time. Okay, that's all I have. We're going to have now public comment period, so if you have something you'd like to share with us, please come up to the mic, give us your name and address, and share your thoughts. Thank you.
My name is Bill Morissette, 4389 South, 2525 West. I've got about 3 questions. Who give Dave Tafoya the right to take that speed regulation sign, or whatever it was, off the street? And he did because it was in the paper.
Okay.
Why isn't it put back? Because there was no vote on it with you guys, and the city evidently put it there for public safety.
If I could, let me try this one, Bill. I think might be the best way to approach that. It got very complicated, okay? There was a lot of things that were discussed. It kind of happened a little bit surprisingly for some of us, and how that happened. But maybe if we could at least, it'll take a lot more time than we have tonight to discuss how we got there, but I'd be more than happy to share what I do know about that with you personally and say, this is how we got there, okay?
Yeah.
Would that
okay.
work okay with you?
The second question is, on 4400 South on that hill, from about 7:15 to about 9 in the morning, and from about 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we got some of the fastest elementary kids in the world, because they can't get across on below that hill. They're on the dead run. So you couldn't put a crosswalk in them, they have to be a run cross. And the average speed, those clowns think it's, you got a warning sign up there that says 20. You also put up one of them blinking lights up there for 20. That means to most of them that it's between 25 and 45. And those kids are getting quick. But we got a bunch of kids down there. And we don't, well, in the first place, there has never been a radar put up below that hill. Never in 47 years. I even had one it's not this gentleman, because these policemen are doing a hell of a good job as far as I'm concerned. But I even had one police chief say, well, you don't want to give your neighbors tickets. Well, my neighbors don't live in West Haven, they don't live in Hooper, and they don't live in West Roy. My neighbors live right around me. They come down from Riverdale on 4400 and go over that hill like God only knows. And I tried, what do you do? And about a third of them got car seats in the back seat. You go down speed through their doggone neighborhoods, through their kids, they come out and throw rocks at you. They would. Okay, I got on that. And
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate your comments. Let me just offer a thought. Matt, you do have the approved transportation plan. I think you might find that there is a plan to put a calming device actually on 4400. Maybe between you and Ross, you could assess whether or not that'd be the most logical. This is, Bill, not the first time we've heard that there's problems, particularly as you come down and you go to the left down over towards 48. They have some real problems at that corner. Maybe, Matt, you and Ross could assess where's the best choice in terms of making that.
Well,
I'm sorry?
We've got a spot we were gonna do it, and Joe Perrin recommended.
Okay,
We do have a third speed hump, but we are going to repave that road this year, so we didn't want to do it.
well, it's
Okay.
not the repaving, it's the speed.
Yeah.
When they come over that hill, that road's good, and they were flying. I've got a set of twins and a 11-year-old next to me. And if I see one hit on the road, I'm gonna be mad, 'cause till they lowered the hill, I seen 2 kids killed on that hill, and then they lowered it 9 feet.
well, that's too bad.
Yeah,
Okay, Bill. We definitely heard you. Let us see what we can do. But I know that the transportation plan did call for a speed hump on that particular, a calming device to slow people down on that particular road. Let us assess that. But I think what Ross just said to us, we've also got a lot of complaints that came to us, says, when are you going to finish getting that road paved? Because it's been a long time. I sense from his comment he's in the process of doing that. But here's the commitment. If we can, we'll look at also, once we get the road ready, we'll look at basically finding some way to slow that traffic down.
well, I'll tell you, those crews up there are working their hindies off, because they're really, they're doing their job up there. You go up there and they're digging every day. That's fine. And then the third question I got, another police question.
Please.
And it's, I guess you're the chief of police? Okay, they got a new feathering law, where the motorcycles can come up the line between 2 cars.
Correct.
Who's got the right of way at that light?
The motorcycle.
The motorcycle? Why? I'm sitting there,
That's what the law says.
I can't find it in the law.
I didn't.
So if there's 25
Sir,
motorcycles,
didn't
they gotta
make-
wait for them all.
I didn't make the law, but that's the law.
So the motorcycle has the right of way. That's about as stupid as some of the laws they make down there.
Well, that's kind of universal nationwide, but that is the law.
Bill, like any other opportunity, if there's enough voices in the room, the legislators listen, and they could help modify if that seems to be an issue. But if I understand it, and Chief, you know the law, this only is occurred if all the cars are stopped, and then the motorcycle can travel in between the cars. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
feathering law.
Okay.
That's right.
All we can do is tell you what we know, and all I can suggest is that help us, if it's not right, to get the law changed.
Well, how do you do that?
You have 2 representatives with Mike Schultz, who is our representative for our part of the district, and you've got Craig Buxton, who is the senator, okay? He also lives in Roy. My recommendation, like any elected official, you reach out to the elected officials at the state level and you help them to understand the issues. And if they support your comment, they take the issues up in the legislative sessions.
I was wondering about that who had the right of way, because that cop got hit down there in South Salt Lake. Cut out in front of a car, and he got hit.
Understand?
It's
Well,
a stupid-
Chief would know. He's the expert here. He'd know that.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you.
I appreciate
But
that.
if the motorcycle's got the right of way, why don't we just start parking our cars? It's terrible.
Understand, Bill.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
if you'll do me one favor so I can finish my obligation to you, if you'll get with Morgan and make sure I got your phone number, I will call you and we'll discuss your first question at some length. Fair enough?
Okay,
Thank you. Okay? Anybody else would like to share a thought?
thank you.
Thank you, Bill. All we need is your name and address. Thank you.
So my name's Laura Lewis. My address is 3102 West, 6000 South. And unfortunately, this is not the first time or even the second time that I have been here, and I'm getting a little bit frustrated. We have lived in our house for almost 5 years and had 4 cars come through our fence. And it seems like one a year, and I'm waiting for this year. We haven't had anybody this year yet. But when I'm out in my front yard and gardening this last Saturday, it was in the back of my head that I could get killed just out in my front yard. And I shouldn't have to feel afraid when I'm in my yard gardening. And Jason, the the city manager before the new one, I don't know why we can't keep city managers, but Jason and I know each other from my time with the Red Cross, and I was the disaster program manager there. And so we had a nice conversation, and he expressed to me that he had gotten a grant to put a roundabout in that intersection because you guys didn't want to put in a four-way stop, was what he told me, because you were concerned about traffic backing up on 6,000. And let me tell you right now, if you're worried about traffic backing up on 6,000, then you need to do something about the trains sitting on the tracks for 10 and 12 hours at a time, which is against their own rules. And they don't care when I call. I'm just, I'm nobody. I call, they say, we'll have somebody call you back, and then nobody ever does. And then it happens again, where it just sits there. So that argument that it's gonna back up traffic on 6,000 is, until you fix the railroad problem, to me, is not a valid argument. But he did say that he had gotten grant money to put in a roundabout and that it was gonna be put in this spring. Well, here it is August, I don't see a roundabout. If he got money for a grant, that money has to be spent on that roundabout. So where'd that money go?
So let me clarify if I can, Lori, exactly what is the address?
3102 West, 6,000 South.
I know exactly where you are.
Okay, and we did our part. We took a big tree in our yard, killed me to do it, but we took it down, that big tree, because there was some concern that trees were blocking, people's view. That's not really the problem. I mean, it might be a little bit, but the main problem is that people waiting, going north and south that have those stop signs, and that traffic gets backed up at certain times of the day.
Correct.
Those people get impatient, they just want to go, and people going on 6,000 are doing 50 instead of 35. And so you have the perfect storm. They're tired of waiting, they pull out really fast thinking that they can beat the traffic, and that other person's doing 45 or 50, and they hit them.
I think we have an answer for you. I know that I do, and I think Matt does as well. Let me share you what we do know, and then, I can't
Sure.
speak in terms of what, at the time, what Jason may have provided to you, but I do know, since I was part of the process in terms of the approval process of what what we can share with you. So, Matt, do you want to give her some information, or you'd like me to do it?
It doesn't, I can do it.
Please.
I'm unsure of, the grant was approved. It's either 2022 or 2025. We got 2 grants approved, and one was the roundabout there. So it is coming, but they approved it for a later date for funding.
Oh, he told me spring.
Yeah.
So, so it's in the works of it, but
Oh, good.
Yeah,
it will be coming.
Yeah, the Wasatch Regional Council, who has some interesting responsibilities as it deals with these kinds of funds, they have basically approved that roundabout. But the timeline was the 2021, 2022, 2023. I can verify what it is. I walked back in the office. But that's the timeline for that particular event. The timeline in this now coming year was also approved, was to put some sidewalks down that 3100 Street heading north.
Oh, that'd be nice.
The concern we had obviously would be is we have small children who walk that. Some walk to church, some walk to school. And as you well know, living on that street, particularly on 3100, there is no sidewalks. They're walking in the streets. And they also approved the grant to help us. And we think it got approved all the way out to 4800 and beyond. So this is a very big thing for us. It was important for us for public safety to make sure that those sidewalks are done and completed. And the Wasatch Front granted 2 grants to Roy City. The roundabout, as Matt indicated, as well as the sidewalks, and we see those as great opportunities. I apologize, to be honest with you, that you were told something different, but I can tell you in all fairness, I was in the meetings when those decisions were made, and it was really done, but the timing was a little later than what you heard, okay?
Okay, no, that's fine, and I appreciate the sidewalks as well, because I won't walk my dog down 3100 because of there not being sidewalks
Exactly.
there, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate yeah, I'm sorry that there was that misunderstanding, because he said spring, and I was like, woohoo, and then I'm like,
It's coming,
August,
but
and
just not this
there's
year,
no roundabout.
unfortunately.
And I know, here's part of the problem. People know that the poor police are so understaffed and overwhelmed, and
Yes.
they have more important things that they have to deal with than people doing 50 in a 35. And they know that. So they figure, I can do whatever I want because
Understand.
chances of my being seen doing anything is like almost nil. And so almost every day I see somebody running that stop sign or any of those stop signs along 6,000. They just they're like, oh yeah, I can make it, and they just run them.
Yes.
And I don't know what the answer is, because I do know that they have more important, things that they have to deal with, so I don't know what the answer is, but somehow we need to slow those people down, because
Agreed.
they're just going way too fast, and I've gone like this a few times at people, and they scream at me. I mean, they swear at me, and all I'm doing is going like this, so they
Understand.
just think they can do whatever they want. So I do have one other thing, really
Please.
quick. I hate to take up your time, but I have been trying for a year to get a CERT class. I have 18 people in my ward for sure that want to take that CERT class, and I think at this point I could probably double that. I've been trying for a year. I cannot get the person in charge of the CERT program in Roy to call me back. He or she will not return my calls.
Okay.
And I'm a little bit frustrated about that as well, because they've got a guaranteed class. And I've even called Lance Peterson, and he said, I'll talk to him, I'll get him to call you. Still nothing.
Can I offer a suggestion? I think the fire chief probably can answer every question you may have. If you get a second, if you have time today, would you mind just taking a moment and sit down with Jeff? He's the guy that knows all about this, and more
Okay.
importantly, I think he can help you. So
Okay.
please take the time to talk to the expert,
Yeah, because
okay?
it's been a year, and I'm like,
Let's see if we can help you.
Okay,
He's the
thank
right
you.
man, okay?
Thank you, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments, okay? Anybody else would like to share a thought? Thank you. Name and address.
Jamie Larson, 5574 South, 3750 West in Roy. Thank you for all the work with the Assisted Living Center. I did have a question. So it sounds like they're starting to work with us a little more than they have in the past. Has there been any discussion that if a wall were to happen, that they would let us do work now on their side of the property, where before they were saying we'd have to pipe it in over?
Yes, there's actually a couple of people here, and they're very willing to work with us.
Okay,
Yes, they were very willing to do what they can do.
okay.
And they
That's
made that.
good to hear.
Yes.
Okay, and then just as a side note, I love the speed humps. I think everyone that I know loves the speed humps. They seem to be working, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Appreciate your time. Okay. Anybody else would like to share a thought with us? Any subject, any topic? We're pretty open. We just need your name and address. Thank you.
Okay, I'm DeLann Thompson, 3789 South, 2050 West in Roy. I just had a couple of suggestions that I would like to maybe bring up, and I think I've talked to Travis on the phone. I think he left me a message. I was about the trail, the walking, bike riding trail and everything. I know right there on 4000 they have a bench, and I was wondering if there's any way that they could get a trash can there. People sit over there and wait. And there's all kinds of trash always just around that bench, and I don't know. It'd be kind of nice if we could just get a trash can to just kind of clean it up a little bit so it's not so gross over there.
We've tried to do a bunch of stuff like that, and we have to get UTA's permission to do that because it's actually their trail and we're leasing it from them.
Okay.
And so they're really reluctant to let us do benches trash cans, anything along that
Okay,
trailway.
so that's UTA?
Yes,
Okay,
it's,
'cause there's
we
already a-
maintain, but it's their property. So anything that we do, any inlets, anything like that, we have to have permission. I know Travis in the beautification meeting was really trying to do a lot of benches across there and get them possibly donated. That was a different, another idea. But there's always reluctancy to let us do improvements to that trail for some reason.
Okay,
So,
well then.
But yeah, we
maybe
can continue
that's-
to work the issue.
Okay, well, and I had one other like little issue with that. I talked to, I left a message for Travis. I know I've been using that trail a lot. I've been taking it to work and everything. And half the time I don't know where I am. I know where I am in Roy, but I thought maybe other people that are coming, this way aren't exactly sure where they are. Then I was wondering if there's any way that we could just get a road sign. We know the trail goes this way, but if there was like a 4,048.56. So if you're actually doing it and going someplace, you would kind of know where you are.
It's not a bad
Because I
idea.
know when I'm down in Clinton and Layton and all that, it's like, okay, which road do I turn up? I know what it's like on 1900, but when you get down there lower, I don't know where I'm at. So I didn't know if we could get a sign, and if that cost too much, I didn't know if we could even get some stencils and spray paint a stencil on there telling you, Roy, and then, 4,800. Some-
Yeah, it's-
Something
Travis,
just like that,
Yeah.
just,
Great input. I leave it at your discretion and budget to decide.
A couple of these.
Okay, excellent
Okay,
idea.
all right,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank
Thank you
you.
for your input. Perfect. Okay, anybody else like to share a thought with us? Thank you. Just name and address. Welcome.
Hello, Diane Wilson, 4302 South, 2675 West. I was just wanting to ask if you would kind of remind us what the different costs were for the speed bumps versus the flashing speed signs. You had a nice presentation a few months ago talking about the efficacy of those, and I don't know if you remember those for now, or if we could just review those. And as we're thinking about it, as we're talking about some of these other areas, because I remember you had efficacy numbers and you had costs. Maybe at some point in time, you could just refresh our memories, and that would help us as citizens kind of decide which way we'd like to go to. Okay, thanks.
I'll see if we can't use at least one of the social medias to kind of get the message out to the public and indicate as we start to now move, and it'll take us a few years to get through the transportation plan, but at least some ideas of what the calming devices are and what approximately what they cost to put in play. And
Okay.
if you'd like it personally to kind of help, I'll give you a copy of the briefing, and you're surely welcome to have it. It has that information in there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll give you my information, and then I can get that as well.
That'd be
Thank you.
perfect.
It was a
Okay.
great presentation you did
Thank-
last time, so I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought? Okay, name and address. Thank you.
Corey Crossley, 5552 South, 3750 West. And I appreciate the update today on the Sunridge facility. Thanks, Matt. Just a couple questions. So in regards to the dumpster being moved, is there an additional approval that has to happen, or can that happen based upon what's been agreed at this point?
Yeah, I believe that we've already had our planner look at it, and he couldn't see any issues with it, so really no approval is needed, other than funding from the city council.
Okay. So is that something that can be done today, or when does that need to be done?
The timing of it, we have to actually have a public hearing to provide any funding to any of our funds. There's 10 days that you have to put that out there. We're still working with them with a price on it, though. I know they're working hard. They got us the site plan, but I know that their connections in the contractor world would be a little bit better than ours, and so they're getting the prices for us on that.
Okay.
So, yep.
So potentially next council
Hopefully
meeting?
sometime soon,
Okay.
and obviously contractors would have to do it, so it's on their schedules and
Mhm.
things like that too.
But the approval has to come from the council before it can, the
Uh,
construction could begin, is that
Yeah,
right?
depending on the cost estimate, because we have funds allocated for situations like this in risk management. But when they exceed our budgetary amounts, then we have to get additional funding for it.
Okay,
So it kind of depends on where things lie.
okay. And is that the same thing, they're still getting estimates for the new section of the retaining wall and the fence on top of that? Or
No.
possibly the block wall, or?
Yeah, they're gonna do they're tearing out the part by the fence where the retention is, and they're gonna put something there for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yep,
Thanks.
yep.
Anybody else have thoughts, comments they'd like to share? Okay, seeing none, we appreciate that. Council, that completes it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Seeing none? Okay, we're going to now move into our RDA board meeting.
Hey, don't leave. This is gonna be good news.
You're so funny.
I don't think they heard you.
It really is.
Okay.
The RDA board meeting is always interesting as we talk about bringing in new businesses. So those of you that want to stay and hear about that, it's a public meeting.
Okay. As soon as we get Jan back, we'll go ahead and jump into RDA board meeting.
Front row, Joe.
He hated Chick-fil-A.
Who did?
Yeah. I visit everything.
Okay.
Everything's okay.
Board members, appreciate you being here. Want to welcome everybody. This is the Redevelopment Agency board meeting. Just want to recognize we have Board Member Burrell, Board Member Paul, and Board Member Saxton joining us tonight. Board Member Tafoya and Yeoman are excused, okay? I do have one consent item. That is the approval of the June 18th, 2019 Roy City RDA Board meeting minutes. Any comments or questions about those minutes? Board members?
Make a motion, we approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, perfect, thank you, that's approved.
I have one question before you go into your action item. Our economic development, Randy Sant, was he planning on being here for this?
He was.
He's actually on speaker. You're on speakerphone, Randy, so he's right here.
Hello, Randy.
Okay,
Hear me?
Yes.
we can, can you hear me, Randy?
Yes, I can. First, my apologies. Traffic of all days, 4 accidents on the freeway, and I've hit them all.
Well, that's what you get for being a state traveler. You get around a lot. Okay.
Well, I apologize for not being there in person. So, are we talking about the Campos loan?
We're going to be into the action item. I'm just going to present the action item and allow you to then make comments. We're going to look at the review and approval of Roy City Loan Committee recommendation for the revolving fund. So if you'd like to go ahead and make comments, we'll listen to your input.
Okay, so you should all received in the packet the summary of the loan that we received, as well as a recommendation from the loan committee. We've reviewed the application. What we have is we have an individual that wants to open up a discount retail outlet store in the Marketplace Plaza. My understanding is he's looking to lease the space that's to the south of Harmon's in that section of the facility. The request for the loan was $30,000. The use of the proceeds was to help offset rent, and also to buy some product, and also to help with the racking. As mentioned in the loan, I went through each one of the specifics that's outlined in our guidelines, and gave you a report on how they complied with each one of those guidelines. After reviewing this with the committee, the 2 significant issues that was pointed out was the fact that this loan, the money for opening the operation, 100% is coming from Roy City, from a revolving loan fund. So the 2 concerns that were expressed in the guidelines was the lack of equity, and in our review of the loan, we were a little concerned about the collateral in the event that there was a default, our collateral would be whatever product is in the store plus any of the racking or the equipment that was bought. So the recommendation of the loan committee, after they reviewed this, was to reduce the requested amount from $30,000 to $24,000, requiring the applicant to find additional funding in the event he needed it, which would require some equity participation in the event additional funds were needed, and also to reduce our need if there was a default, that maybe collateral could help cover that. So those are my comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if any of the loan committee would like to add to that, I think you'd like to hear from them too.
One of the other things we discussed, Randy, that you may not have got to in your recommendations is, we kind of looked at an ideal loan as $30,000, 3 years, and about 4%. So we've already had one loan go through on that. The other recommendation was not only to reduce the loan, but do as a bank would do. If you go in and you're a little bit higher risk, that your percentage rate may be a little higher, and your term maybe, or originally, an ideal loan we said was 5 years. So we reduced it to 4 years and increased the rate 1% to 5%.
That is correct.
Just to make sure the city was covered in that if there was ever a situation where this might default.
What is, Randy, this is Saxton. Hey, did we ever work out what the monthly payment would be based on all those figures?
Yes, the monthly payment, I believe, was included in the recommendation, and if I recall, I believe it was about $553 or $558 a month.
553 is what I had stuck in my mind. I don't see it in the
Yes,
recommendation.
It was $553 a month at 4 years and 5% interest on $24,000.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, make a comment.
I don't see that. Was
and I
that
guess
supposed to be in
Mayor-
our information? This is Councilmember Burrell.
Randy, the question is that I'm sensing that all the board members didn't receive that particular information. How was that distributed? Was that distributed to just the people in the committee, or was it sent to the entire board member?
I sent it to Matt and to be included in the packet. So I thought that went out in the packet.
I see it, 5%, 48 months. It doesn't say the amount, but okay.
Somewhere I remember reading the amount, but that could have been in my notes. Does it say what the monthly amount is, though?
It does not. Not that I see.
Okay.
Obviously,
I
you can throw it
read.
into a loan calculator.
Just to add to that, Randy, the landowner, the property owner, is making $22,000 worth of improvement.
$10,000. That was included in my recommendation, or in my paper I sent to you. The Woodbury's is going to install a double door and a couple of other things. That contribution is $10,000. The $22,000 number that they expressed also included some of their internal costs, the costs for attorneys and things like that. But the actual contribution that Woodbury's is making to fix the building is $10,000.
Okay, thanks. The applicants are here. Would it be appropriate to hear from them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's easy for us.
Alberto or?
If you'd like, just give your name and address. If you
Caroline?
have comments, please step up. Okay, thank you.
Hi, how are you? My name is Alberto Campos. Just a couple of words about this project. We are really excited for make this project happen here in Roy City. First, we want to say thank you for all the support and take the time for listen to us. When you make one project, like a business project, but you cross with a business project of light, you make the double force or triple force for make this project happen. So we are really excited and we hope everything is going to be really successful.
Thank you. Okay.
Does anybody have questions?
Just for the record, do you want to explain a little bit more about, I understand what your business is, but I think on the record it'd be good for people to know what you do.
Oh, great. So this concept of this our store is like something new. The overstock market is something really big about all the cities. When you see like a big market like Target, Walmart, Costco, all that kind of big retail store, they have overstock every month, and they need to move that overstock. So they sell that overstock from companies like us for a really good price. That is the part how we can sell our items for an amazing price, like $350 the clothes, 50% or 75% off, like a big items from the regular price in the store in our store. So basically,
So name brand clothing retailer at
Yeah,
a discounted price.
Yeah, basically it's overstock from big companies, but with an amazing price.
Okay. Board members, you have any other comments or questions you'd like to ask?
No.
Okay. Then, board members, I do need a motion to, let me make sure we got the motion right. I do need a motion from you to, let me make sure I get the right, that's the minutes. I do need a motion from you to basically.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
Andy said.
I was going to say the motion would be for the redevelopment agency board to either to approve or disapprove the recommendation of the loan committee
Correct.
and authorize the staff to prepare the necessary documents for the loan closing.
Correct. Not obviously stated in here, but obviously that would be the appropriate recommendation. Okay?
So I'm hearing
In the
24,000 at 5%,
Okay.
48 months. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
And I think since this is approving expenditure of money, I'd like to see the roll call.
Say that again?
A roll call.
It should be a roll call.
I agree.
I have one more question, Andy. Are there any other questions that came up in the concerns? From,
I think there were different things that the loan committee evaluated.
but everything's okay other than what we have included in this, right?
I think everything was addressed by reducing the loan, increasing the rate, and shortening the term.
Okay. Okay.
In large part, Jan, is because there were some components of this applicant that didn't meet the standard by which
I understand.
the original RDA board approved the committee to assess. And
I
so,
understand the collateral being the
yeah,
the
collateral
primary
being,
concern.
yeah,
Okay.
Without the flood, and I think that was mentioned, that's
yeah.
part of why this is coming.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, so what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for a motion to approve the recommendations from the committee and specifically identify the amount that the committee suggested, which was $24,000, 5% interest, and a 48-month term on the loan.
Mayor, I make a recommendation that we approve the loan committee recommendation for the Alberto Campos loan of $24,000 with an interest rate of 5% and a term of 48 months.
Okay, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, what I need now is a roll call vote to approve.
Councilmember Burrell, or excuse me, Board Member Burrell,
Aye.
Board Member Paul,
Aye.
Board Member Saxton.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I should indicate to you, it required a unanimous vote on all of you to do this. If had one of you not it would have stopped it, because obviously, even though we've been majority, we need 3 votes on that, so. Thank you.
Question.
Oh, we got a question now?
Yeah, I do. When do you think you will be in that building and operating?
On September.
For real?
Yeah, so mostly for us, it's really quickly start operation because we had our operation in Layton, sorry. We need like a 30-day just for the process with the place in Roy. It's like
With
the
Woodbury?
business license and
Okay.
the sign the lease. For us, it's really quickly.
And the clock starts ticking on their loan at the time of,
Now,
okay,
yeah,
issuing the loan.
Soon as they
Okay,
take
thank
the
you.
Proceeds.
yeah. Now, they do get, right, correct me if I'm wrong, they do get isn't there like a 60-day period in
Yes, I believe
which
it's 60
they
days.
make their
Yes,
first
that is
payment?
correct. We allow
Okay.
60 days before the
So
first
we
payment is due.
established
Okay,
that The clock is started on the 60.
okay, thank you.
Well, the clock will start when the loan documents have been executed and the funds have been released.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council, on this?
No, it'd be exciting to have you.
I am excited to have
We are
you.
excited too. This is going to be something really awesome for Roy. We know what is the potential about City Roy. It is not just a project for the loan. We know what is the potential for make one business here in this city. So we are really excited too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, the next discussion item is reviewing the approval modifications of the revolving fund guidelines, but the reality is, I haven't seen them. And they weren't with the
No.
packet. So I'm not.
Let me explain that, Mr. Chair, if I can. Let me explain that.
Okay.
I would concur. What we wanted to do today was just outline for the board a couple of those changes. But I think because we don't have the whole board there, let us, if you would, Mr. Chair, I'd recommend we table that item. Let us prepare a written document that will show the proposed changes, and then let us have that ready for the next meeting, which I believe would be August,
26th?
14th?
No.
16th, or no, I'm sorry,
Yeah, you're right.
20th or 21st?
21st? Is that what it is?
20th.
20th. Well, I think what we want to do in the
20th.
guidelines is to clarify 3 or 4 issues that have been, as we've done these loans, they've come up. One is to have some discussion about the collateral, have some discussion about equity participation, and also make it very clear that the transparency and outline how the transparency occurs on these loans. So those were the 3 major items that we wanted to bring back and have a discussion with the board. So if we could just table that item, we'll have a actual written policy for the board to look at.
Okay. Council will recommend that we table the discussion items until we get further information. Everybody agreeable with that, to have a motion to table? Do I have
Make a motion, we table.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Board members, appreciate that. Okay. Other than that, Matt, you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
I think I'm
Okay.
good.
Then I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Good meeting. Glad we were able to work through that.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy. That I promise all of us kids.